Welcome to The Strategic Edge, the podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners who want a competitive edge in the market. They want to be seen as the expert in their industry, and they're looking for cutting edge and innovative strategies that work across industries to help them scale their business like a boss. My name is Ann Carden, and I'm your host. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, it's Ann Carden here, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of The Strategic Edge. And you are going to love my guest today because we're already having some fun before we started recording this. I'm with George Hendley today with the Speakers Academy, and I'm going to love talking to George because we kind of play in the same arena. And I know he's going to share massive value with my listeners today, especially if you are trying to build your business through speaking, which is something that I teach my clients to do. It is one of the fastest paths to being able to build your credibility, build your authority, and be seen as the expert in your industry and in your space. So, George, welcome to the show.
And what a pleasure. I feel like I've met a new sister I haven't known before. Good to see you today.
I love it. So I'm excited. You shared a little bit of your story with me beforehand. Of course,
Sure.
Our listeners were not listening. So let's talk about what got you into the Speakers Academy, your background, sort of your journey. So in a few minutes, just kind of give us that scoop.
Sure. Well, I have a teacher's heart. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be. I have a teacher's heart. My focus in college was to be a coach and teacher, and I didn't really go that direction. But in 1992, by the strong admonition of my older sister, I had went through some job transitions, and she said, you ought to start your business and do some of the stuff I'm doing, which was be a trainer and speaker. I said, okay. And so George Hendley Presentations was born in July of 1992. I initially really got into what we'll call corporate training. And I did a lot of stand-up training across the country, working for a lot of other companies. I was their paladin, have mouth, will travel. And so I did a lot of different soft skills training. I did leadership training, communication skills training, change management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anything in what we'll call the people development arena, that's where I spent a lot of time. And I did especially a focal point in the arena of personality skills or personality profiles. I became a Carlson Learning Company distributor that changed into Inscape Publishing, that changed into Wiley Publishing, and they're the world's leading distributor of DISC, D-I-S-C. So I love that. It fit me so perfectly, and I set my goal on becoming a big dog in that arena, and woof woof, I became a big dog in that arena. I hit the diamond level, which was only 2 or 3% of the entire network hit that arena. Not to brag, but that was a goal I set. That was a goal.
That's awesome. Yes.
And I loved that stuff because it again brought out the best of who I was. So things happen, as you well know, in the business arena. You've been out in that arena, and in 08, 09, lots of changes, and some of them not so happy and positive happened. And quite frankly, at that point in time, I recognized I needed to have sort of a new direction. I needed to start fresh, using some of the things I had learned and practiced and developed, but doing it with sort of a new twist. So over a period of a couple of years, I tried a few things, and then thus was born the Speakers Academy in 2011. That, and gave me the chance to use over 20 years of developmental skills in the arena of helping adults build confidence as they stand up to speak. You probably know, speaking in front of a group is the number one fear. It's the number one fear.
Isn't that crazy? I know.
Well, I had it. I mean, I know because I was there. A quick aside. When I was a small child, I had a speech impediment, and I stuttered and I had a real difficult time speaking certain syllables and words, but my loving, wonderful mother helped me through that and got me to the point where I was able to at least get words out of my mouth, and over a period of years become somewhat proficient in that arena. So 2011, the Speakers Academy has been born, and bada bing, bada boom, we're on a race. We're making things happen.
Love it. I love it. Okay, first of all, you're speaking, you're really speaking to my heart here, because one of the things I help people do is reinvent themselves. And I see a lot of people who say, I want to get into coaching. I want to start, I want to start a business. I want to get out of corporate. I want to start my own thing. But then they go down this path. I say it's the slow path, where they say, I have to get certifications and I have to do this and I have to do that. So I say, you need to, this is what my book is about, my best-selling book, you need to be the expert in you. There's an expert in you, and that is what you need to build your business around. You need to be packaging that up, and then you need to learn the skills to go out and elevate that brand, to get clients, close those deals, get on stages, get on podcasts, write a book, whatever those things are. And so that's why I was really excited to have you on, because we really do play in the same arena.
Absolutely.
With the same kind of clients. And those skills that you are teaching are exactly what they need. Even doing a Facebook Live, sometimes they just freak out. Or even, doing any kind of video. I'm like, okay, you have to make sure that people aren't looking up your nose when you're doing a video, right? So no, I had to bring that out. But I love that you said you reinvented yourself and you took the skills and the expertise you had developed over the years. And that is, I call it your sweet spot. It's also your money spot, right?
Yes. So here's my cue. Here's my cue.
I know you want to talk.
Yeah. I have a very simple 3-letter word or acronym that ties exactly into what you're saying. S-A-Y. Say. S-A-Y. But what does that stand for? I say you must know your say. S, subject. A, audience. Y, yourself. You must know yourself. And out of those 3, I say that's the number one. That's the number one thing, to know yourself. Because if you don't know who you are and where your strengths and natural talents lie, you will stumble, bumble, and fumble your way for so long. So self-awareness, and that is an emotional intelligence piece. First step in the emotional intelligence arena. Self-awareness is critical to be able to give your best self to anything and everybody that you're working with. There it is. Boom. Simple.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And the other thing too, and I know you see this, people completely undervalue everything that they know and have done, and these skills and this knowledge. They just don't even realize the value of that. Not just from a money standpoint, but also from an impact standpoint, right?
Yes. You're preaching to the choir, Em.
I am.
Yes. I mean, bottom line, as people are young, when you're young in your 20s or even 30s, you're still learning things about yourself. And so I tell speakers all the time, one of the most critical things that you must do is really look at your life, all the different levels and pieces and places you've been and people you've been around and experiences you've had. And look at those places where you've really felt like it was so natural, it was so easy, you didn't think it was any big deal, but other people went, wow.
I know.
You really do that well. And you're just thinking, that wasn't hard. But therein is the key. That's where you're tapping into your strengths. By the way, back on that shelf behind me, I've got several books about now discover your strengths and the Strength Finders books and principles and things. It is huge and a very integral piece in becoming the best you can be.
All right. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about some details about speaking, some fears, let's just dig into some speaking stuff here.
Sure.
So why should someone want to speak even if they are a plumbing company owner or they are a locksmith. Why should they want to speak?
Very interesting that you bring up the plumbing arena, because I've got a friend right here in Dallas. He's got an amazing plumbing business, and he's got a huge following on his podcast. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
I want to have him on. Can you introduce me to him?
I can. I know his wife, who is a really, really sweet, wonderful woman. I met her first, but Roger, I'll make that introduction, and the two of you will go like that.
He's totally in my wheelhouse. I was like, I love what he's doing. No, I watch his YouTube videos.
Yeah. So look, everyone wants to work with an expert.
Yes.
Now, here's the question, and I try to get my audiences and my clients to think, would you rather work with a doctor who's just out of medical school, is in a new practice, and hasn't had but 6 months in his new practice, even though he's cheaper than the guy who's been in practice for 25 years, has seen thousands of clients, has dealt with thousands of situations, and is more expensive? Who would you want to go to?
Right.
I mean, come on, this is not rocket surgery, or this is not brain surgery or rocket science. You want to go to the best person that you can find, obviously, that you can afford. But hey, when it comes to important things, and your business is an important thing for your future, then you want to try to invest in the very best person or company you can find. Just like you know that, you understand that. Good. So working with people, which is the common denominator of business, we work with a lot of different kinds of people with a different number of needs, but there are always basic things. And those basic things we must become masterful in. And I look at my little mission statement, and I see it right here on my vision wall. It says, I'll read it to you: guide and support our speakers so they feel confident and masterful at each presentation. And mastery is a huge piece in this feeling of being motivated and excited to go ahead. There was a great book written a number of years ago by Dan Pink. I don't know if you know his work. He's a genius in so many ways. He wrote a book called Drive, and he came down to 3 letters, 3 words: AMP, as in amp or amperage. And AMP stands for autonomy, mastery, purpose. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And people want to feel that they are masterful, but they also want to connect with others who are masters in their field, who are really, really good.
Yes.
And you become the same thing as the top 4 or 5 people that you hang out with.
Right.
So who are those people?
And another thing too is when they develop these skills, they will be more of an attraction magnet for their ideal clients, for their ideal customers, and all of that. And so, speaking about Roger and his plumbing channel and all of that, I mean, he's made plumbing fun. Like I actually work with plumbing companies on the other side of my business. So I work with small businesses too, but I have followed him and love what he does, because he literally has taken plumbing, which is not something that most people would tune in for, and he has turned it into something so fun. But more to the point, he has built this phenomenal business because he put himself out there, and he got visible, he got seen, and he used those skills to pull people to him. And he's a small guy that looks very, very big, right?
Yeah. I mean, most people think this guy running some monster, multi-million-dollar conglomerate. No, but he's doing very well, because here's my little adage. When you seek to serve first, you will do well in every category. And he is masterful in his ability to serve his clients. He's just masterful.
Yes, he is. So he's got some stuff to back up what he's out there doing. There are a lot of fake experts, right? We know that. It's not hard to position yourself as an expert. I help people do it, but I help real experts do it. I don't help people do it who don't have any substance or anything to back up what they're trying to do. That's called scamming. Okay. So there's a difference, right?
Yes.
But he has, he's very skilled and he's very knowledgeable and he's good at what he does. He is a master in his profession.
That's true.
And that's really the key too. But beyond that, you can't be the best kept secret. And so
that's true.
can help you get out there and be more visible. And not only even from a customer client standpoint, but from a partnership standpoint, to build great referral partners and build relationships with people. The more you have in your network that and that you just never know where those relationships will go.
True. Very true.
So let's talk about fear. We know, oh my goodness, we know fear over speaking is a biggie. And so let's talk about some strategies or some things that can kind of work people through that. Share your expertise here.
Sure. Well, sometimes I talk about fear as false evidence appearing real. And everybody, without exception, me included, everyone has fear of one kind or another. Mm-hmm. The two most basic crippling fears are the fear of failure and the fear of rejection, the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. And if you think about so many aspects of our life where we feel like a failure or where we feel rejected, we tend to cower and pull back. Mm-hmm. And it just is natural. Mm-hmm. And the thing also that we must remember is all fears, with the exception of two, are learned. All fears are learned. A baby is only born with two real fears, the fear of loud noises or the fear of falling. Mm-hmm. Everything else is learned.
I love that.
And that's true. And if it is learned, Anne, it can be unlearned, as it can be overcome.
Right.
And Albert Bandura was a famous psychologist who did a lot of experiments with helping people to overcome fears. Mm-hmm. And he did some remarkable work helping people overcome the fear of snakes. And what he learned is that if you expose them slowly and repeatedly to this engagement, that they could, sometimes within just a few hours, overcome that fear, just completely overcome it, basically banish it from their life. And it's the same principles that I teach in the Speakers Academy. It is with practice and peer and coach feedback that people begin to come up out of their shell and they begin to blossom. And sometimes they don't hardly recognize themselves because all of a sudden, all of that past fear that was shackling them, holding them back, it's behind them and they're moving forward.
Don't they? Right.
Yeah, it's just they're moving forward. And God bless her, Mrs. Clemens was my high school speech teacher. And, I saw her at my 30-year reunion a number of years ago. But I told her what I was doing, and she just looked at me with a surprised look. I said, I know, you'd have never thought that back in high school, would you? And she just smiled and said, no. But hey, we can all overcome these fears. Every single person has a speaker within them just waiting to come out. Sure. And sometimes it's just like cracking on that shell and opening it up and helping them see, oh, okay, I can do this. I can do this.
That's fantastic. No, I love it because I am a believer. If you let fear stop you in one area, especially if you're trying to build a business, it's going to stop you over and over and over again. And so, you have to break through those things. You have to break through those walls and you have to get to the other side. And to me, that is the value of hiring a coach or working with somebody who this is their wheelhouse and this is their, their specialty, they'll be able to help you get there faster.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So what are you told me, I think before we actually started recording, you had actually told me about your 3-step process. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the 3-step process that I help people recognize very simply is, in all great presentations, there are basically 3 pieces, 3 parts, 3 steps. Number 1 is, I call it the PDF. And it's not a portable document format either. It's
is that what that stands for?
Yeah, exactly. Preparation, delivery, follow through. Preparation, delivery, follow through. And it really is that simple and that systematic, if you will. As a strategic expert, so many things are able to be broken down into pieces and parts and steps. And our mind needs that in so many ways. We need to be able to see what's the ABC, what's the 1, 2, 3, what's the formula, if you will, to be good or to even be great in this arena. So preparation, that obviously comes first. But here's the key, Ann. Everyone, every day, is preparing for their best presentation tomorrow, next week, next month, because you're living life.
Right.
You're living life, and all of life is giving you opportunities to experience and experiment with new things, challenging things you haven't done before. But then you're able to bring that to that next presentation that you make.
Right.
And people are like, wow, she shared about a failure.
Right.
But what they also recommend is that you were willing to experiment with something you'd never done before, and then share it publicly. And people, quite frankly, this, they admire someone who can open up and be transparent and share and show failures, but their ability to bounce back and be even smarter and stronger the next time down the road.
Right. No, that's great stuff. I remember, oh my goodness, this is so many years ago, speaking, and there were probably 300 or 400 people in the audience, but it was a chamber event and I was on a stage. So everyone's not your ideal client, right? And so, there's employees in there and there's city workers in there. And I remember I'm giving this presentation and you could tell the people that were engaged, they were taking notes. But then I remember the fire marshal. And I was like, oh my gosh. He leaned back in his chair, had kind of a big old stomach, leaned back in his chair, arms rested on his stomach, and he was snoring away, mouth wide open. Now, I bring that up. I actually had forgot that story, but I bring that up because if I would have said, oh my gosh, I was so boring, I put people to sleep, I would have probably never done it again, right? But I looked at it for what it was, and I said, he wasn't my ideal client. He wasn't my audience. There was nothing I was talking about that was even remotely interesting to him. And, I took it for what it was. But I also, I looked at the audience and I said, okay, was that engaging enough? Did they respond? Did I get good feedback? All of those things that we know you have to do to be a good speaker. But to my point, I would have stopped myself in my tracks had I let that affect me. I was fairly devastated. I mean, it was embarrassing, right? But yeah, you keep going.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sure you have some funny speaker stories too. Toilet paper.
My mind was just churning about so many different things at that point in time. I'm going, okay, where do I go off of that? Or how do I want to add on to that? But because the longer you've been in the trenches, the more stories you build. Because every day, there's new experiences, there's new interactions, there's new friends. I got a new friend in Missouri now. Yay! And I just love that, because you just never know what that new connection, that new friend, that person is going to bring to your life. It's just, so if you have a curiosity about life and you have a willingness to experiment, I tell people, quite frankly, I said, it's just like Edison going into his laboratory and failing thousands of times before he finally found the right filament to make the incandescent light bulb. And he says, I haven't failed thousands of times. I found one more thing that didn't work. And
right.
Yeah, and he just had that kind of mentality.
That's right. It's all your perspective. It absolutely, and your attitude, perspective and attitude. That's exactly.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
So tell me right now, and we talked a little bit about this before, but with the pandemic and everything that's going on, people are not getting on stages and all of that, but there are still a lot of things going on out there in the online world, and people are still doing virtual events. And I have someone that I know that she's going into an event, but she's in a studio or in, some sort, she actually goes to the location, but then they're doing it virtually.
Sure.
So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. How can people find things like that right now? How can they find speaking gigs to book and all of that? Do you have some insight for that?
Well, it always comes back to being able to put yourself and what you do out in front of people and let them know that, yes, what we'll call the typical main stage events are not happening right now, but there are more and more and more of the virtual events. I did a great little virtual event for a group of women here in DFW about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And actually it was like on a Saturday morning. And they were a National Association of Professional Organizers, NAPO. And I did about an almost 2-hour event, about 45 minutes on listening, which is the foundation of all communication, and then about 45 minutes on speaking and how the two of them come together, very importantly, to be able to build better and new clients for the future. And it was all virtual. So there are not the kind of physical stages, face-to-face stages, but there are more and more and more of these virtual stages. I mean, right now, I'm on a virtual stage with you.
Right.
It's just like you're sitting right over there and I'm sitting right over here and we're hundreds of miles apart, but we're connecting, we're communicating, and we're making some things happen despite this crazy world that we're living in under this COVID-19 umbrella. So things can happen. And it just comes back to saying to people repeatedly, I am available. Have mouth will travel to you via digital technology. I can still deliver. It's not quite as much fun because you can't see the shenanigans that I would do up on a stage, but I can still help your people and I can still deliver.
I think we've done some good stuff. I leaned back in my chair with my mouth wide open and snored, and you've done a lot of waving around. And
Yeah. So you wake up and recognize, yes, there are new different kinds of limitations or new different requirements in the light of how you are delivering your stuff. But the show must go on, as PT would say. And we just come down to saying, all right, we just change the environment somewhat. And you figure out a new, I won't say always better, but a new way to do what you've done for years and years and years.
Right. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So one of the things too, that we talked about is, people need to, if they're on a stage, and this is a missing piece a lot, and I've helped people do this, and you do this as well in your business, but they're on a stage and they're delivering and they're amazing and everybody loves them, but then they don't give people a way to go deeper with them. They don't have any kind of coaching or digital assets or, products or anything to kind of, it's not just about the money afterwards, although that's a big piece of it, but they're not giving people a way to get more from them.
Yes.
So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So let's go back to those initials, P, D, F. The P is the preparation. The D is the delivery. It's kind of like what I'm doing with you right now. Right. I'm delivering insight and information, hopefully, that will be of value to you and your listening audience. But it's that F, that final piece in the bigger picture puzzle. And it's in that final piece, that piece that we'll call the follow through piece. And I used to call it follow up, but it's really, I changed it to follow through, because I think in terms of athletics, because that's so much a part of my background. Mm-hmm. But in the follow through of a baseball bat, of a tennis racket, of a ball being thrown, you don't stop the moment the ball is here leaving your hand. You completely follow through. So it's in the follow through that you're able to be much more accurate, much more precise, much more powerful in what you do. Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's in the follow through of making you accessible and available in as many different environments or formats that you can do. I prefer, and this is just me, I prefer to be more in a one-on-one environment. Mm-hmm. I can watch people. I can listen to people. I can understand, because they'll feel more comfortable with me in this kind of arena than they might in front of a group of people in a training room. And I've done training for almost 30 years. But in this kind of arena, Ann, they'll feel that they can kind of let their guard down, and they can say, this is the thing I'm so deeply afraid of. And I'll go, okay, tell me more. Tell me more about that. And then we can begin to approach those things in a very personalized, professional, and gentle way. And in doing that, they can see that I can feel some of their pain, because I've felt it before. I can feel the kinds of fears that they're addressing, because I've felt that before. And in doing that, I'm able to offer something beyond the now. It's like, I hope there'll be somebody off of this time together with you that'll pick up the phone or shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to talk with you more. And I'll say, good, let's set up a time, phone or Zoom, and have a conversation. And it'll be all about you and what do you want? What is your purpose? What is your vision? What are the values that you want to espouse to others? And how can we make that happen?
I love it. And I'm sure there will be people that will pick up the phone and talk to you or call you after this is over, because you've definitely, and here's the thing, he's put himself out there so you can see him, so you can get to know him. Because again, if you're the best kept secret, good luck with that, right? And today, gold is all about getting seen. It's all about an audience. If you can't be seen, if you can't build an audience, or you can't, have people see you, you can't help, you can't make an impact, and you definitely can't make money. So see, I always have to talk about the business side, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just about, it's not just about money, for sure. It's not, but that is, that's a big piece of business. So you have to be able to stay in business. But
that's right.
I love this. Anything else that you want to share before we wrap things up? Because I want to respect your time.
Sure.
But
well,
we didn't cover.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground. And most importantly, what I want to help people recognize is, no matter where you may be right now, there's always room for growth. And I've worked with some people who are pretty far up in their game, so to speak, and yet they recognized they needed to take another step higher. We recognize the best of the best got there and continued to get better because they have good coaches. It doesn't matter if you're a professional golfer, if you're a professional football player, if you're a professional whatever, it doesn't matter, because there's always a new skill or a better way of doing things to just tweak your level of professionalism a little bit more. A guy who bats .299 can dramatically up his income just by improving to be a .300 batter.
Ooh, I love that. And I always talk about 1%. 1%, right? So
1%.
No, yeah. I love that. That's great.
And that's the critical piece oftentimes in those who win and those who come in second, third, or fourth. I missed and so crave the Olympics that was supposed to happen, but didn't happen because of COVID this summer. But if you know anything about the Olympics, especially in the running and swimming sports, oftentimes, Ann, it's 1/100th of a second
to
determine gold versus silver or bronze.
Right.
That's minuscule. Mm-hmm. That's just, you can't even, that's minuscule, but that is the difference. And the question I often ask, how good do you want to be?
Ooh, good question. Ooh, I should have asked that to business owners and
you should,
and entrepreneurs and coaches, those people that I work with. I should ask them that. That is a great question. Hang on, I got to write that down. How good do you want to be? We might actually have to name this podcast that.
How good do you want to be?
Oh, that's gold.
Good.
All right. No, this has been great. And it's been fun, and I've really enjoyed having you on. Thank you so much for being here. How can people get a hold of you? And I know you have some free giveaways too, so I'll let you do that.
Sure. Okay, well, there's this old thing called a telephone. I've got mine right here. Mine still rings. and the number is 972-234-4377. 972-234-4377. Call that number now. The Basomatic is going to go for
I'm on it. Wait.
So there's also this thing called email. George at thespeakersacademy.com. George at thespeakersacademy.com. I've got a website, thespeakersacademy.com. I've got a great LinkedIn page out there. I've got over 130 articles attached to my LinkedIn page. So I'm out on Facebook. I'm reasonably easy to find. Mm-hmm. And I love getting connections with people. I just had a really wonderful connection with a young lady in upstate New York, and then another young man today right here in Dallas. So many ways to connect today, and I really love meeting people. And even if it just means dropping something in their head that's going to help them for today, that'll be good. Now, one final thing, 4 times a week, free, 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 no strings attached, 4 times a week, I offer via Meetup a free training session. 2 are at 12:15. 2 are at 6 p.m. and they can then get, free 45-minute training sessions where they can learn to practice principles for improvement and building confidence.
Nice. Very nice. Okay.
And you can't beat free.
You can't. No, you can't. So I love this, and all the links and everything will be with the show notes, so people will be able to, get to everything. My gosh, this has been so fun. And thank you for being on, sharing your brilliance, your wisdom, letting us get to know you, letting my audience get to know you. And I just want to make this point. It does not matter what kind of business you're in. Mm-mm. You have got to be seen, and you need to be seen as the leader of your company, the leader of your business, the leader of you. And speaking is such a great dynamic way to do that and attract more like-minded people to you.
Absolutely.
You can't hide out in the corner, right? Or in the office. Or
no, you can't.
So I want to invite you to reach out to George if you are looking to start speaking or to get better, or, hey, how good do you want to be? Reach out to him. So I'm Ann Carden. Until next time, thank you all so much for being here for another episode. Go rock your business, and God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.